Right now on Denver 7 News, a family searching for answers after their loved one is killed in a crash. Why they think the investigation is dragging because of who the other driver is.
New protections were supposed to be coming for how police can use DNA data on ancestry websites. What our investigators have uncovered about holdups in the law that was supposed to be a model nationwide. And getting a second opinion on a medical diagnosis can be expensive and require you to travel. How virtual second opinions are now becoming an option for more people.
Plus, more legal trouble for former President Trump, why the New York State Attorney General is filing a $250 million lawsuit against him. Good afternoon. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Jason Grenauer. The family of a motorcyclist killed in a crash last month is questioning why it's taken so long for them to get answers. And they suspect it's because the driver who killed him is a Denver police officer. Denver 7's Patrick Perez is live at the corner of Wadsworth and Peakview in Jeffco, where that crash happened. Patrick, this family just wants closure.
Yeah, Jason, the family of Joshua Smith says it's been 46 days since the crash that took his life, and they feel they have just not been able to get many answers from CSP. Now, this crash that we're talking about happened back on August 6th. Right around 5 o'clock. That's when troopers say the off-duty Denver police officer was going south on Wadsworth when she made what they're calling an improper left turn and crashed into Joshua and his motorcycle while he was going north. That impact of the crash threw Joshua into the air, and the officer's pickup truck dragged the motorcycle into a nearby curb. Joshua died at the scene. The crash report says it's believed that Joshua was speeding and driving aggressively and recklessly before the crash. Still, the family says CSP hasn't yet determined fault or given them a copy of the investigative reports. Nothing has been handed over to the DA's office either. They worry that this investigation has been dragging on because the driver involved is an officer.
There was no traffic ticket issued, there was nothing. And we are going through loops and circles trying to find the answer, trying to get the footage, trying just to get answers really. But I feel like if it was any other normal or any other citizen that would have collided with him, we would have already had answers.
So DPD says because its officer has not been cited yet as an at-fault driver in this case, they have not opened an internal affairs investigation. CSP told me that the length of this investigation, why it's taking so long, it's standard. We'll have more on this coming up at 6 o'clock. For now, we're live in Jefferson County. I'm Patrick Perez, Denver 7.
Patrick, thank you. Adams City High School will be back open for classes tomorrow. The school canceled them today due to a threat that was made over social media. The Adams 14 district says the threat was not real and that classes will resume tomorrow. Extra law enforcement and staff members will be on campus as part of the district's safety plan. There were several other closures in the Denver metro today. All Denver library branches were closed today due to threats made overnight. And all Denver DMV branches also closed early today, but the city says that was for a meeting and not because of any threats. Let's take a live look outside. Overcast, rain in some spots in Denver 7. Chief Meteorologist Mike Nelson joins us now to tell us that this fall-like weather sticks around for the official start of fall. Mike?
Yes, indeed it does, Jason. 7:03 tomorrow evening is the official start of fall, but what's already taken a big fall, the temperatures in the last 24 hours. We are right now 34 degrees colder than we were this time yesterday in Denver. Akron's 40 degrees colder as the readings are just holding in the low 50s at the present time. All of the state is pretty cool and cloudy and a lot of showers and thunderstorms. And some of those storms are severe out in Utah. That yellow box and the little red polygons, those are severe weather watches and warnings. Nothing severe right now in Colorado, but some fairly good rain across the mountains and developing over the metro area. As far as what it looks like outside, it is gloomy in Denver. And this is our headlines for tonight. Rainy and cool, heavy rains at times for the mountains, more showers tomorrow. And fall begins tomorrow evening, but the first weekend is going to be really, really nice. I'll have details in a bit.
All right, Mike, thank you. The Federal Reserve announced another interest rate increase today. Like the previous 4 increases this year, this one is also for 0.75%. The idea is that the higher rates will slow American spending to help reduce inflation. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell says this hike probably won't be the last and that he expects interest rates to hit 4.6% by next year. New York's Attorney General has filed a $250 million lawsuit against former President Donald Trump, his children, and members of the Trump Organization. The lawsuit accuses them of committing fraud by allegedly using false financial statements to deceive lenders. ABC's Jay O'Brien has more from Washington.
Claiming you have money that you do not have does not amount to the art of the deal. It's the art of the steal.
New York Attorney General Letitia James announcing a $250 million civil suit alleging fraud by former President Donald Trump, 3 of his children, Donald Jr., Ivanka, and Eric, the Trump Organization, and 2 of its executives, including Alan Weisselberg. In their filing, the Attorney General's office laying out decades of examples they say show Trump and his business overvaluing real estate holdings and other assets, allegedly deceiving lenders and insurance brokers with misleading financial statements.
She offered examples, including former President Trump's own apartment in Trump Tower having been inflated in size, Mar-a-Lago also having had its evaluation inflated.
James saying Trump was then able to take out loans based, among other things, on his allegedly overblown net worth, something James says average Americans can't do.
It is a tale of 2 justice systems, one for everyday working people and one for the elite.
Trump denies any wrongdoing. His attorneys called the suit politically motivated and an abuse of authority. Donald Trump Jr. calling the investigation a witch hunt. The probe began in 2019 after longtime Trump attorney and fixer Michael Cohen testified before Congress about his time working for the former president's businesses. 3 years later, the New York Attorney General now asking a court for a $250 million judgment and to bar any of the Trumps from running a company in the state of New York. James saying no one, including a former president, is above the law. This is a civil case, but James did say she made criminal referrals to the IRS and federal prosecutors in New York. It's one of a series of investigations swirling around the former president, including a federal probe into those classified documents seized at Mar-a-Lago. Jay O'Brien, ABC News, Washington.
Hurricane Fiona and its aftermath knocked out power and water to the majority of Puerto Rico, and it's been slow to come back. Take a look at this video. This is from the Coast Guard showing the extent of the damage there.
Everything has been impacted. There's people in shelters in every single municipality of Puerto Rico.
Direct Relief is just one of many organizations on the ground in Puerto Rico right now. They provided us these pictures of the work that they're doing. They are focused on medical relief, but they say just about everything goes back to energy right now and keeping things going when the power's out.
We've also invested in resilient energy. So we outfitted 16 federally qualified health centers with solar panels and batteries to be able to operate through blackouts such as the one we're living. We have also understood the importance of having access to water and what that means to healthcare. And we have established 25 solar installations in communities that are remote in Puerto Rico and that depend on electricity to pump clean water out of wells.
Now, they say these are lessons learned from when Hurricane Maria devastated the island 5 years ago. Corazon Latino is another group positioned to help in Puerto Rico. We were unable to interview them because communication where they are is just unreliable right now. But they did send us an email and they said that flooding is a major issue and they're also working on helping with basic services. Now, both organizations do want to keep the spotlight on Puerto Rico to ensure that people continue to receive help. So to learn more or to donate, you can go to corazonlatino.us or directrelief.org. Russian President Vladimir Putin is ordering a draft of more than 300,000 soldiers. This partial mobilization is nearly double what Putin originally committed to the war in Ukraine back in February. The White House's National Security Council says that this is a sign that Russia is struggling on the battlefield. Tens of thousands of Russian soldiers have died, and Putin has even started ordering the wounded to go back and fight. Food shortages around the world continue to be an issue with Russia's invasion of Ukraine. President Biden now says that nearly $3 billion will come from the United States to address that and the effects caused by climate change. He made the announcement today in front of the UN General Assembly. The money will be used for global development projects. A former Minneapolis police officer was sentenced today in connection to George Floyd's death. Thomas Lane pleaded guilty to a state charge of aiding and abetting a murder. He is currently serving a 2.5-year federal prison sentence. He will serve the 3-year state sentence at the same time. The judge says that he is allowing this because Lane accepted responsibility for what he did. Limits on when police can tap into DNA on popular ancestry websites aren't going into place as planned.
We want to prevent and solve crime, and we also want to make sure that we respect people's rights.
Why a law that is supposed to be a model nationwide is facing holdups.
Also still to come, Colorado considering new rules to improve our state's air quality. How you can weigh in on those proposed changes. Next.